All right, so we are recording, and welcome so much to our January Get to Know Your MTSU. We've got an exciting agenda for you today, and um, we've got parking services, facility services, and campus planning. And we know that there's some new changes coming around related to some of the services on campus, and we thought it was a good opportunity to help those of you that are new to the university get introduced to these various programs, as well as for those that have been here a long time but haven't had a chance to have these kinds of interactions or these informative sessions. So I'm going to go ahead and let's start with Jamie Brewer, since she's like right at the top of my screen. And Jamie is a director and project management with campus planning. And I'm going to ask Jamie to tell us a little bit about what she does and what campus planning is up to, and maybe how individuals on the campus can work with that office and should work with that office as they're, looking at spaces and other kinds of things at the university.
I did do a quick little PowerPoint presentation of some of the projects that we are currently working on and those that we just finished and wrapped up with some images. Would that be okay to share? That kind of go along with that? And
yeah,
that'd be okay. All right.
Yep.
Get it going.
Let me know if you have any trouble sharing.
All right, so everybody see it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, okay. Well, like Kathleen was saying, I'm Jamie Brewer with Campus Planning. Campus Planning does a lot of the larger projects here on campus, everything from new construction to larger renovations to even some maintenance type projects across the university, from steam line repairs to ITD network stuff. You name it, we do the larger projects. There are some people here on this call that are with construction renovation, and they do some of the smaller projects, the quick turnarounds of classrooms, where we go in and renovate just one classroom itself. That's construction renovation. So campus planning is a little bit larger. So to kick us off, campus planning does follow a master plan, and these master plans are developed as a 10-year look ahead. We are actually currently in the process of doing our master plan right now for the next 10 years. So the image that I'm showing right now is from our 2016 master plan, which we were able to tick off a lot of the projects in the last 10 years that we addressed in this campus master plan. You see, we divide our campus into the different quadrants. We have a historic west, east quad, women's athletics quad, men's athletics quad. And then this is a little expert from the actual master plan itself, just showing what our highest priorities from 2016 and what they were at that time for the 10-year look ahead. And you can see their highest priorities were the academic classroom building, applied engineering, School of Concrete, math, computer science. We have actually ticked a lot of these off. If you are familiar with campus, academic classroom opened around 2020. Applied engineering, concrete, math and computer science is actually currently under construction right now at KOM. They will move in this summer. So, and I can dive in a little bit more to that. But we've also done some smaller stuff like outdoor tennis facility, a chiller plant addition that came along with a construction renovation. Just larger projects. Rutledge Hall is also under construction right now, a sister with KOM. So here's a real quick snapshot of the tennis complex that we opened, adding new courts actually, and a building to go along with that has their locker rooms. Sorry, I had a little. And then this shows some images on the interior if you hadn't had time to go in to take a look at that. We have a little viewing deck that overlooks the tennis courts themselves, which is kind of nice. We also, this past fall, opened our Student Athletic Performance Center. This was in the end zone of our Floyd Stadium. And I've captured a few images of those just to show that off. Our applied engineering also opened this past fall too, which is exciting. That's over there in the Walmack Lane area, rec center side of campus. There's some images of that. It actually shares the same site as our School of Concrete building, which is very nice. There's some interior shots of the building itself. And then currently KOM in Rutledge Hall, that is under construction now, is set to open and have classes in the fall of 2026. So we will be moving in those staff and faculty members over the summer. But you'll see we did a large lobby addition to help make KOM accessible basically, because it was not accessible all 4 levels. So we're adding an elevator in that to that area. And then Rutledge is over here. Same thing, was not accessible. So now there's an elevator that will go to all 3 floors of Rutledge now too, with a small addition to that parking lot area kind of coming up to the sidewalks. Here's some images of KOM. This is the historical side. We didn't do much on the exterior for the historical side. We did open up some of the windows. I don't know if y'all remember, they were bricked in at some point. And so we were able to go back in and open up some of those windows. And this is the back side that shows that new addition. Here's a little bit of the floor plan and some images. It'll still be a pretty classroom heavy, office heavy building like it was before. But we are bringing back some character that was lost, I think, throughout the time. KOM kind of was disappointing when you walked in. You thought it was going to be more historical when you walked in, and you were kind of disappointed. So now when you walk in this next fall, you would think this is how it was supposed to be from the beginning, with a little twist of contemporary too. So, and here's Rutledge Hall, just showing you. This Rutledge Hall was one of our first dormitories on campus, and now it's going to be a classroom / office space instead of going back to residential. And this exciting new development is over in the Walmack Lane area. Not sure if you are aware, but we have demoed almost all of the Walmack Lane apartments and preps for our new housing development in that area. So it's a 5-story building with mixed unit styles that will go in there. Here's a little snapshot of some of the interiors, the exterior, and some floor plans. Oops. Whoop. And then adjacent to the housing development is our new parking structure. That will actually help us when it comes to those students that will be occupying the dormitory there. This will be just for housing only, just so you're aware, and not commuter. And then last but not least is our aerospace in Shelbyville. So we did do a groundbreaking ceremony the 1st of December. We're excited to get this project up and going and move our students and faculty out to this flight center here. There's some exterior images here, and then I've also added some interiors. So I'm going to stop sharing now. Kind of come back. Okay. So that's a little bit about what's been going on and what we are currently working on with campus planning. And like I said, we are working on our master plan, which is the next 10-year look ahead. We are currently working with that, an architectural firm, Bauer Askew, to complete that for us. What were some of the other questions I think, Kathleen, you wanted me to answer?
No, I think that, Jamie, that's a great overview.
Okay.
And we're going to give time at the end, once everybody's had their few moments of spotlight, to answer more detailed questions. But I think, generally, I've been driving by the site where all those apartments have been coming down. And so it's quite visually different than it was even in December. So it's very fast how all those buildings get torn down. All right. So that seems to be a great segue into
Mhm.
parking. So I'm gonna tag Tracy because I think there's all kinds of rumors around the parking garage and who's going to get to park there. So that was kind of interesting that it's only going to be for housing. So I love that, and maybe Tracy can tell us some more about what's going on with parking, how are things going, and what does that look like down the road for MTSU.
Great, thank you. Yes, so Jamie, what she alluded to with the garage is correct. It will be for residents only. And we'll have to put all of those new residents in those apartments somewhere over there. And as many of us know, that part of our campus currently has a high demand on parking, especially where you are, Kathleen, the library,
Mhm.
mass comm.
Oh
It's a
yeah.
pretty hot
Yep.
area, to say the least, with the new buildings coming online as well. So I did a presentation also, but mine is more for visitors than um, employees, because that seems to be where a lot of our questions come from. So
Good.
unless you want me to talk about something else, I'll just hop into that presentation.
I think that'd be great. And I think, if there are any plan changes related to employees that we should be able to talk about or know about, I think that would be helpful to share as well.
Right. So at this time, I'll just say there are no anticipated changes for employees when it comes to parking. Uh,
Okay.
like I said, visitors is the hot topic where we've got some new things that have come out, especially
Good.
this month. So,
Excellent.
okay, let's see. Can you all see that?
I can.
Okay. Oops. Okay, so visitor and event parking, like I said, is our hottest topic right now. So when it comes to your visitors and event parking on campus, there's really four options for us as employees. And that is, a department can request a pass for their visitors. We have online passes. Visitors can get passes in our office, and then we have our event parking. So departments that request visitor passes have two options also. They can get passes for a specific date, or we can give them 25 blank passes. And the date specific passes are truly for an event that you are having on campus, whereas the blank passes are for those that drop into your office, just pop in to donate a check, whatever. You may have those passes in January went up to $2 when we charged them to your index. Regardless of either pass that you go with, if you want dated ones for your event or if you want blank ones, we have a dynamic form to request those passes. We have our new pay by plate system, which, if anybody's noticed, there are QR codes as you go in to parking lots. Visitors can scan those, and then their license plate becomes their permit to park on campus. And when our ticketing staff come around, they will run that license plate number and see if that vehicle is registered to park on campus. One thing we just rolled out in January that's really great, I think, and better than our previous system, is you can now request a coupon code for your visitors. And then that coupon code comes back to your index again. And that would be $2 again charged to your index. You can request those 2 weeks in advance. We can get you a link or just the coupon code, whichever you would prefer for your event. These are just visitor passes that we sell in our office, and the prices, just so everyone is aware of what a visitor is paying to park on campus. If a visitor walks in the office, it's $4 a day, $10 a week, 20 a month, and $40 for a semester. The semester passes, those are used mainly by contractors or um, Parents sometimes buy those if they're coming. Parents of athletes sometimes will do that when they want to come to practices and things like that. This slide is about our event parking, and that is going to be more like you have a luncheon, and these are more of a VIP type person. You don't want them looking for their own space. You want a space blocked off for them. So this is, yeah, I think I tend to think of it more as just like almost VIP parking. It's going to cost you $2 per space. So you're paying for that same permit again. And then set up equipment and attendance when attendants are required for the space. These spaces are, again, very based on the lot demand. So like outside the library and mass comm, we're not going to do event parking right there. We're going to move them out a little bit just because demand is so high. Same thing for over by KUC, Jones. The demand on that lot right there specifically is just so high. We would not block spaces in that lot on a normal class day. That's pretty much it when it comes to our event slash visitor parking. So I'm going to stop sharing. So that's just an overview of our event and visitor parking for you all.
I think that's really helpful, Tracy. I think the other thing that might be helpful for some of our new employees is because I ran into this, even though I've been here now 5 years, the parking permits, the ones that we hang, those are 2-year permits, correct now?
So most of our employees do get the 2-year permit. That depends on if someone is on payroll deduction or not. If you are on payroll deduction, your pass renews every odd year.
Okay.
So you would get a new one in 2027. We have some employees that choose not to do payroll deduction, so they are required to get a pass every August.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that, so that's helpful to know. All right.
Yes, it's a very small percentage, truly is, but.
Okay. All right. Well, great. Well, thank you. And again, if you've got questions around parking services, hang on and we'll do a broad question and answer session. But I'd like to have and invite, I think Ben Lynch, you indicated that you and Joe are going to kind of present together. And so Ben is, I wrote this down. Ben is an engineering technology administrator with Facility Services. Did I get that right?
You did.
Okay. And Joe Whitefield, of course, is our assistant associate vice president for facility services. And they're going to talk to us a little bit about all of the facilities services and support that happen on the campus. I do have to say thank you, Joe. I imagine your area right now is tapped quite a bit trying to figure out how to deal with all the ice on campus. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate you managing all that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's good to be with you. I'm going to take a minute and share just a couple of things, and Ben's going to walk us through some of the information that will hopefully be helpful. But appreciate you saying that, because again, today is a day that you really understand what has to happen to be functional. And again, the IT area, we've come a long way in the last 5 years, but with being able to go remote,
Right.
so it's really a blessing to be able to do that. And yeah, it's great that we can do that and still maintain so much of the functionality of the university. But the physical plant, and the everyday kind of belongs to us to try to maintain. And we're going to share a couple of things. There's a kind of a famous saying for us, not for most of you. It says that the romance of maintenance is there is none. Right. So that's what we know, but we hope to share a few things with you so that you'll think about us in a little better way. So we're going to give you a little bit of overview about facilities as a whole, and then we're going to get into some of the services and things that you probably are most interested in about how to interface and the services that we provide and how to do that. So Ben's going to walk us through some information most and all of this will be on our website, but we want to give you an idea about what's out there for the curious. So, Ben, if you'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Joe. Today we're going to be focusing on how to do work with facilities as we consider you guys customers of ours in the area. So we're going to walk you through several things and also some kind of fun facts that are out there as well. So, campus at a glance, we have 211 buildings within the MTSU portfolio and 550 acres maintained. Now that goes across six areas of campus. We have farms, we have the new aerospace down in Shelbyville, and other areas that make up it. So we're not a continuous island. We have other pieces of land that we also maintain. So 211 buildings is quite a few buildings to keep an eye on for sure. This is our executive leadership, and we'll talk a little bit more about either. But you just met Joe, our fearless leader, and we appreciate his guidance. And then as well as Alan Parker, Don Turner, Jeff McConnell, and Julie Morrell. I wanted to highlight this side because we are a division of business and finance, and really we're accountable for providing the maintenance and operations and facility services, including mechanical, electrical systems, and building maintenance and repairs. So wanted to make sure you guys knew that we were a part of the division in finance. And then our mission statement, which we live by every day, is to maintain the facilities and grounds and present them to the university and the public in a safe, clean, and functional condition while managing resources and assets in accordance with applicable requirements, procedures, and constraints. So on a day like today, we're being taxed with all those. We as a department publicize a summary of services every year. The summary of services is a collection of goals and objectives that we try to meet throughout the year. We've been publishing it for right at 20 years, I believe, with it, but it's a great resource. The information inside, again, is printed one time a year, but we have rolling data that we're able to present throughout the years to help make informed decisions.
Ben, let me jump in real quick on that because that summary of services, it is an annual report and it shows some key metrics and the things that have been mentioned. But just so you know, as a kind of aside, it's also a document that we use when we're going helping the campus with accreditation. Because when we're answering those questions from those accreditation boards about how the facilities, what are your programs by which the facilities support and capable of supporting all the needs of the academic programs, et cetera, we're able to use this document for that. So I just wanted you to be aware of that if you're going through accreditation and things like that in your area, that we've been able to use this. So it may be of use for that purpose down the road. So.
You've heard a few times the word data. We use data quite a bit and to enhance our decision making that's out there. This is just a particular piece of information that we have out there for the science building that I pulled up. So you can see the gross square footage of the science building. On this particular one, you can see how it's serviced, which the different utilities, open work orders for the buildings, and then over on the left-hand side, you can see how many backflows are in the building, how many biosafety cabinets, and you can see all the inspections that the facility and EHS and departments perform on that building on a regular basis. So we do a lot of analytics and data to make sure that we're up to date on those particular buildings. Today, I wanted to focus on the MTSU work orders department. Work orders department is the central area for all of our record keeping and helps maintain the function of the facility services department. Average annually, we do about 20 to 22,000 work orders in the facilities department, and those mostly come in from viewers like you to contribute to the work orders. As you see something, you say something, and then we work diligently to get it fixed. So this is a 1 year running total right now of work orders, and we're at 20,740 work orders. And so we use those analytics to help assist in that. Very quickly, I'm just going to run over The departments that are covered, building services, is just Don Turner. We like to say, as goes building services and HVAC, goes the facilities department. There are two largest call volumes. Those would be hot cold calls, which we appreciate your patience with the chilled loop last week, and the maintenance necessary to keep that up and running. But then you also have building services, which are the typical light bulb changes, floors, general maintenance and custodial type repairs. We just talked about the energy services. We have grounds and landscaping that fall under facility services, construction renovation, and several others. So before we go too far, I wanted to break quickly and discuss how to do business with facility services. Um, I appreciate this red note on the top here. So if you were to migrate your way to our website, we have a drop-down tab across the top, which are services. So these are some of the
Dan, that's
exterior
not,
services.
you're not sharing the website
Oh,
screen. It's not a,
picked the wrong one. Let's see. Let's go. That one. So if you were to migrate to the facility services website page, over here across the top, these are some external services that we provide to areas. And so our traditional work orders, key shop access, if you're requesting recycling, motor pool, custodial, or plants and flowers for events, you can find those right in here. So if we were to request a standard work order, which hopefully most are familiar with, you would just come in here and find the tag that meets your needs the most, and then you'd fill that out, and then a work order request is sent to ours, and we'll either convert it to a work order or combine them in the event that maybe two work orders were submitted for the same request. Light bulb out in the hallway, and two people happen to do it, so there's two. We manage those. So by clicking on general maintenance, you just simply fill out your request of what type and what area, and then our wonderful work orders office, which is led by Katie Cullen, will disseminate that information and get it into the proper hands. We do ask a favor from you guys, and that is to use the work orders office as the central point of contact. Why this is so important for us is if you are calling shop guys directly to work on something, that information does not always get documented, and it's less documented if it's the first contact. So if you were to contact, let's say, me to go change a light bulb, then I would I would do it, but the work orders office wouldn't have any indication. So we wouldn't be able to tell if it's a ballast issue or a light bulb issue based upon the number of work orders. Like I've had all these problems. And I think that's the funniest conversation that we have with folks is I I've I've said I've had this problem. I've said this I've had this problem, but it's not to our work orders office. So it's really only one issue that's being brought up because it's not properly put into the channels. And I hope that makes sense what I'm reiterating there. So, um, so it's a good definition of like how to work in the facility services department and how to accomplish different items. And then over here we broke them into departments, so you can see a little bit more about the core department itself um, in the facility services area. So we're a small but mighty group of individuals in our facilities areas working to keep us all clean, safe, and functional.
Hey, Ben, Kathleen here. So before you move on from this, really quick, I see that there's emergency and non-emergency. And any advice for people on how to determine what's emergency and what's non-emergency? You'd think that there's some obvious facts, but sometimes there's not.
No, I think you're right. You can always put it in as emergency if you on that borderline. Our departments do our work orders group does a wonderful job. Obviously, if there's water running down the hall, whatnot, it's an emergency. But also pick up the phone and call. So we are not online only. It's easier for us to collect the information online. But in a true emergency where you've got a fire pump that's just running and blowing water everywhere, then that's a true emergency. Pick up the phone and call. But we'll help you sort it out as well.
Sounds
And we also
great.
prioritize.
Yeah.
That is a good litmus test. If it's something that you think is that significant, you should call, then call, because and you should know this, that it comes to our work orders office during hours, but we also have a 24/7 utilities group that's here running our central plant, and all the work orders office phones are forwarded there. So we have, if somebody calls the work orders office, it's forwarded, and they can make a call. Like again, if you happen to have water running down the hallway, in the evenings or on the weekends or whatnot. So that's a good idea. If you need to call, then call if you're not sure.
Well, and managing a building that's open until midnight, I can attest that they are there and they show up. We've had elevator repairs happening way late at night, so they do make it happen.
And that's a great point. We certainly try to do that, but in some cases, the actual work can't be performed until, a day or so. So one of the things we want to do is oftentimes we're mitigating with situations. We're trying to stop the flood or put something out of order and make it to where people can use it until we can repair it. So, but that's just a good point
Yeah.
about how we have to work together during those one-offs. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Dean.
So I do have one more slide, and then I'm going to turn it over to Joe to discuss some more. Stop sharing. Let me get this one back. And Joe, I'm gonna lay this on the T for you to hit. So
Okay. Well, between DIY and DIY, we've got both of them. So I don't think it's do yourself in. I think it's do it yourself. And so this is this is something I want everybody to be aware of, because on a campus our size, understanding ownership, this is where the yours, mine, and ours comes in to buildings and building ownership, if you will. I mean, the state owns the buildings, right? And so we maintain them, as we said earlier. We try to maintain them to be clean, safe, and functional for our customers. What that means is when it comes to the building systems themselves, tapping into a utility system. We see this a lot, and there's going to be a new policy that's going to come out to reflect this, but we want people to be safe. And so when there's a couple of areas like access into spaces, walking into a mechanical room or walking into an electrical room. You shouldn't be able to do that, but on a campus this size, sometimes people are able to do that. You shouldn't be opening electrical panels, right? You shouldn't be doing those kinds of things, right? Those are the things that can lead to something that's unsafe, and typically not in most people's job description. They're certainly in ours, but so to that end, we've got some new things that are going to come out, and one is going to be defining what we call department and program specific equipment. Okay. If you're in a department or you're a program and you bought something that needs to be installed, it needs power, or it needs special utilities or services, that happens all the time on campus. But we need to know when you've got that, and then you need to work with us and through us to get it installed and to get it, operational if it interfaces with one of our systems. You don't need to, or have your, a contractor start wiring things into a panel of ours, because one, we've got all the processes and all the, permitting process and all the things that we need to get those things done in a safe and compliant manner. And if we have a problem and somebody gets injured, it's a real liability for the university. It's so things like that. So we really want to follow that. So just so you know, we're talking about furnishings, equipment that are required to support the departmental activities. These can be appliances, furniture, AV equipment, lab equipment, art equipment, sports equipment, medical equipment, anything that's not specifically part of the building system. But here's kind of the crux of it, if I can find my note here. We work to get this stuff in. Hang on. I think the responsibilities here is that the policy is going to establish responsibilities of the campus departments related to safe access to spaces and systems, and the operations, maintenance, and modifications of these spaces. And it's going to prohibit members of the campus community outside of those authorized by facility services, and in some cases campus planning, from engaging in activities that impact building support systems, structural integrity, fire protection, environmental health and safety, and those types of things. So I hope that makes sense. But you can imagine our history. I've been here 27 years, and we have run into, a lot of things hanging from structures that were not structurally reviewed, that weren't intended to hang that. We've had situations where we've derated, the fire rating on a building because, we've installed a door that's not fire rated because I don't know how we got it. And I'm not naming names, but I'm just saying things like that happen. In the business, sometimes we call those the gifts that keep on taking. When you get something and it looks nice, but just know that that's coming. I know I've said a lot about that, but just know that that's coming, and you should always ask and get the support you need from us when it comes to department specific or program specific equipment. So with that, Dean Schman, I'm going to stop right there, and we'll entertain any questions along with the group for everybody when it comes to anything directly. But I did want to give you the heads up on that because that's one of the areas of safety we want to make sure that we ensure that everybody knows about and knows what's coming with a little bit more restrictive language. So.
No, that makes sense. And I'm looking at a stack of books behind you. Is that a safe stack of books back there? It looks like a good tower.
Yeah, it's a nice tower. Yes.
All right, good. So, all right. So it's an opportunity for questions. And Laura, I see your hand there. If you also don't want to ask, you can also always put something in the chat, and we're monitoring the chat as well. So Laura, go ahead and bring your question on.
Hi. First, Dean Schman, thank you for doing this session. This is really, really informative. You mentioned a new policy coming out. When is it coming out, and what is the number of that new policy?
Well, it's currently in draft form. I don't have a number. I think it's going to be 6 something, but I would expect it in the next 3 months. We've been working on that, running through legal and everyone else. So. And usually when they come out, they will come out with a comment period by the community for the campus community. But I would expect it in the next 2 to 3 months is what I would say.
Okay, thanks.
Now don't rush out and do a bunch of DIY projects in the next 2 months. I'm just going to say that. Okay, so.
All right. What other questions? And do raise your hand. That way I can call on you because I've got 5 pages of people here. All right. So Dawn Key.
Hi. Thank you all for presenting today. It's been very informative. I'm wondering, Tracy, about the coupon code, what the advantage to that would be.
So, Dawn, that's a good question. The coupon code. So, one thing I should explain is the visitor passes that your department can request. Those are actual paper passes that someone would have to display in their car. The coupon code and the QR code, there is nothing for the person to display, so you don't have to get that permit in someone's hands. Does that make sense? Did that answer your question?
So it just is going to save them a trip into the building and then back out to their car.
Yes. And it's virtual.
Yeah.
It's all virtual. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they can, we just apply for that code when we know they're going to be here, and then they'll just register their car that way.
Yes, you would. You could email parking@mtsu.edu and just say you want to get a coupon code, and then we would walk you through those steps.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Kimberly.
So Tracy, is it one coupon code per pass, or one per event, or one per contractor?
The coupon code is date specific. So if you have, it could even work for a guest speaker to a class. We could do it for one vehicle. We could do it for a 1-day event where you have 100 people, or a 2-day event where you have 50 people.
Okay, thank you.
All right, this is probably for Ben and Joe. Who is in charge of refreshing signage with lichen and fading information, directional and building fixing broken sidewalk transitions, etc.?
Well, that's a little bit of everybody on the call. If it's, for instance, if it's street signage, then we work with parking services, for the stop signs and the things like that. So the street signage, parking services has a role in that. Our ground service will help install and do things like that. If it's building signage, we'll work through campus planning. I think Vicki Eastham is our sign czar, and so she'll help us with like if it's a building sign, either on the building or something, plaque or something out front of a building. We've got some of those, a lot of those. So she'll work with that and we'll help with that. Sidewalks are primarily a facility services and the ground. So if we know about those, I mean, we have ongoing projects that where we do a lot of sidewalk repair just as routine, just the age of the sidewalks and the conditions. So we do that. And if you've got a specific that's a tripping hazard in particular, right? Then we want to know about that, and we'll try to get those addressed, fairly quickly. But we do bring in folks about twice a year to run the campus and find those, half inch or more, displaced sidewalk sections and things like that. So that's the who's who. But you can always start with facility services with a work request, and we'll get it dispersed.
That's great. All right, other questions? So I'm going to ask each of you, Jamie, Tracy, Joe, and Ben, if you had one more thing that you'd want to make sure people know or understand about working with your area, what would that be?
I will say for campus planning, like I said, we are currently working through our master plan. And Ann Maples Vault within my area has done a pretty good job at touching base with all of those across campus, from campus police to academic affairs, student affairs, just kind of to make sure as a university that we are polling and discussing our future with everyone. So if you haven't had an opportunity to sit down with campus planning to plan out the future, make sure that you are reaching out to me or Ann Maples Vault to make sure that you are being heard, and it's really it's higher level. I will say that. So don't just say, oh, my restroom needs to be renovated. It's big level. So we'll say that. So we want everybody to make sure they have an opportunity to be heard. So I do think majority on this call that I'm looking through, we've actually already touched base with you already. So I feel good about it.
All right. Tracy.
I think the main thing from parking and transportation is ask us. We're here to assist you and your guests. For all of us, parking is the first and last experience, whether it starts our day off, our work day off good or bad, or our visitors that come to campus. It's going to be the first and last experience on our campus for us, students, and visitors.
And I'm going to give a note of appreciation to parking services. I know they don't always get that, but since my arrival consistently, and I think this is probably true for a lot of people that have designated parking, people take your parking spots, mostly students, and they back in, they don't even see the signs. And parking has been really great about helping to resolve those issues. So knock on for Micah, which is what I'm working on today. I have had not anybody try and take my parking spot so far this year. So that's like, I'm very excited about that. All right. And Joe and Ben, what else would you want to make sure that everybody knows in working with facility services?
Well, I would say, first of all, I appreciate opportunities like this because, like I said, the opportunity to share a little bit and about what we do and the fact that people, as you write, today's a great day to highlight that, the fact that, people are here, coming in on the frozen streets to come and do things that need to be done. And so we've got folks that come in, and I appreciate our folks. We've got a lot of just really excellent people. One of the conundrums that we have sometimes is that we want to be unseen. We want to do the work and you just show up and everything is as nice as it can be and ready to go. That's not always possible, so sometimes we do interfere. We've mentioned the fact that we've got, occasionally we do get some capital maintenance money, which we need to do some major repairs. And so we had a few weeks of taking the chiller plant down, and that was causing a lot of issues. But obviously you do that in the winter so that because you don't need the cooling. Turns out we need a little bit of cooling even in the winter. But I think that's the point is if you just kind of be a little understanding, we're trying to do things in a planned manner so that we don't have the unplanned emergencies as much as possible, and then working on the day-to-day things to help you with your work orders and help. As we say, we try to maintain and present those buildings to our customers and the visitors in a clean, safe, and functional manner. So we're trying to do that, and working with you really helps. And so again, I appreciate all the positive encouragement. Anything you can, thank you or whatever for one of our guys goes a long way, and we'll try to do our best for you in return. So.
Well, Joe, you got a thank you in there to you and your entire team for working during these challenging days. And then another question, do we contact facility services for bricks missing out of the sidewalks as well? I see this often around the student union.
Yep, that's yes, you do, and we work on those as well. And I will tell you, keep this in mind. Every little, and this is the next thing that's coming. Every little undulation, every little imperfection. This is a pedestrian-oriented campus.
Yeah.
And I know we've got the e-scooters and things, and there's just buckle your seatbelts. There's more going to be coming out on that in terms of policies and things like that. But the sidewalks and things aren't really designed for a lot of those other micromobility devices per se. They're in use, but again, people need to be careful out there and not just assume things. I know, Dean Schman, we've talked a lot about just parking scooters in your library atrium and things like that. So, so there's always challenges with that.
Yeah, we stopped that. So, in case you didn't know, you can't bring your scooter or rideable device into the library. You have to leave it parked outside, or if it's a skateboard, you can carry it. Which was very grateful in working with Joe and his team to kind of figure some of those things out.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised nobody asked this, but maybe you can tell us a sneak peek of what you're all doing on campus to deal with all the crazy ice.
So we have a snow plan, and it basically focuses on the students that are here in the dorms and trying to clear the sidewalks to the food services. Because while we're all, at home and things like that, we do have people on campus. And so the first things are to try to get the pedestrians and our students able to get to the food services and the things that they need on campus. Now, we do not have the resources that the city and the state has when it comes to, salt, and brine on things like that. So one thing is I'm in the office today. I drove in and I noticed that the city streets actually look pretty respectable today. They're fairly clear, but the side roads, like your neighborhoods and side roads and things like that. So obviously be extremely careful, seriously, the bridges and shaded areas. That's all real. That's all very legitimate. But our campus, we clear things. What you'll see is that, and again, working with parking services for the roads and so forth, we don't have the capacity to plow or necessarily salt all the parking lots. So we try to clear walkways and to get folks, at least the ADA and the students to we try to get the ADA ramps and things like that. Those come first, along with the students to where they need to go for food and so forth. And we've published where those things are, where those priorities are. And that's it. And then we take it and we'll do some salting in some very specific areas, particularly as they relate to the ADA. But you may only get one primary route into your building. So that's a great question. It's like I park over here and I go in the east door. Well, again, there's not the capacity is not there to do it at that level. So ultimately we try to get a primary route into the buildings to try to keep people safe. But you really do have to be very careful and very safe as you can when you walk, because there's just no way to get all of the ice on campus removed. As we would like to. So
somebody asked, what do we need to have on hand to take care of non-student buildings? What products to use to reduce icy areas? Should we be bringing in some salt?
We have that for buildings now. Our custodial staff will put that out on porches and things like that. So our custodial staff will do that at buildings. So you don't have to do anything. All right. Matter of fact, I guess it falls a little bit in the DIY because we don't want to. again, there's some responsibilities there, but again, I'm glad you mentioned that so we should do that. Now, if you have again, I see the loading dock, that's a good question. That should be covered. If it's not being covered, then a little communication with the custodial supervisor or on that. Again, Brenda Wonder is our custodial manager in custodial services. So sharing that if you've got an area like a loading dock or a main service area, that in addition to a porch or patio or something like that, then we will certainly try to get that included.
And I don't know that this is your area, Joe, but what criteria do you understand is used in making recommendations to admin for reopening campus or staying closed?
I think, and I'm in communication with them being, upper administration, certainly Drew Harpool, our vice president, interim vice president for business finance. And I'm sure Chief Kopp is in communication, but most of it has to be about accessibility. And matter of fact, he texted me about kind of an assessment of that now. And so it's like anybody's, like it would be for anybody. And that is you get an assessment about how well it is. Again, knowing that if you waited till it was 100% dry, you'd never open. So,
Right.
So it's one of those, doing the best, trying to get to I'm sure about something like 75 or 80% accessibility. Again, knowing that the parking lots themselves can be problematic, a little problematic. But I would say that one of the great things, again, I mentioned at the top, was the remote. It used to be we would close the university, and there was a lot of resistance to closing the university because you would lose all the services, lose a day of academic, presentation and all that kind of stuff. But today, the remote allowed us to have be a little bit more generous and trying to get err on the side of being much more safe, So, but it's just to review it and try to get it moved and dried if we can. So.
Well, we really appreciate all you do. The previous institution I worked at, we had a 5-foot snow one time, and they had to have people up on roofs shoveling the roofs because the roofs would cave in with that amount of weight of snow. At least we don't have that, but I know that we've got one more day working remote, and then we'll wait to hear from university leadership and see what they say.
Well, Dean Schman, to that point, I'll say one other thing. I'm glad you mentioned that. It's like, because that's the other area, you're talking about roofs. That's the other area where events like this can really get you. And that's where you have snow and things that pile up on roofs and things like that. But we send folks out, again, back to Ben and our data management. We try to look for those leaks. And so we've been on roofs prior to this to make sure roof drains and things were functioning as best we can, clearing it of debris and trying to make sure we don't have those residual things like that. So there's a lot that goes in to try to head this off. And fortunately, thus far, we've not only us, but to Middle Tennessee Electric and our utility providers keeping the power on. And we've made some adjustments with natural gas, but the heat's still on. So we're very pleased at this point where we are, and hope to be coming out of this soon. So.
Well, thank you all so very much. All right, we're in our last few minutes, so I'm going to just query any final questions for this group before we let everybody go. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. Thank you to our presenters for working with us and sharing this important information. We've got an exciting February Get to Know Your MTSU with human resources. An invitation will be coming out around that in early February, which lo and behold is like next week. So hang on to your hats, stay upright, and we'll see you either on campus or online. So thank you so very much, and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you. Y'all be safe out there.
Thank you.